Hello, my name is Susan Gurnee, Life Member 9297 of the National Speleological Society and Life Member of the Society of Women Geographers since 1992. Special thanks to the Explorers Club and the adventurous men who created this club in order to share stories and unmask their turbulations in the privacy of a safe brotherhood of male explorers. Special thanks to the club to recognize bona fide exploration from men and women who merited inclusion in the distinguished history made by those who have furthered information and study, conservation, and geographic knowledge about our world and beyond. With two explorer parents, inquiry, investigation, research, challenges, and self-exploration were part of everyday life while growing up. Caving and cave-related activities were foundational to my upbringing. Such experiences tattooed me for life with an insidious curiosity, a love of nature's variety, and an unceasing need to challenge myself in all endeavors. But more challenging, I found, has been to reach back in time and speak about a private man who did not like to be photographed. For those who knew him, he was ubiquitous and enigmatic. This material has been culled from old photos and 8mm home movies, archived documents, and excerpts from an hour-long filmed documentary sponsored by National Geographic in coordination with the Explorers Club, aired on ABC TV in 1967, narrated by Peter Jennings. It is always wise to start with a beginning, so I shall. His mother, a devout Catholic, was born at the turn of the century and lived in Lincroft, New Jersey. Thomas Francis Sullivan arrived December 20th, 1927. He was healthy. She was determined that he was to become a priest. As a long-established tradition for Catholic families, she raised her son with the very best training she could. Steering him into science, he dutifully followed. After Catholic high school and a few years as a science teacher, he took his vows to comply with the family's wishes. In gratitude for raising him so lovingly, he became a priest, a researcher, an instructor, and a world traveler. Although he was not particularly saintly, his mother was fulfilled when on September 7th, 1945, he took perpetual vows and was conferred with the name Brother Nicholas Sullivan. From 1952 onward, he wore the religious habit of the Order of the Christian Brothers. Christian Brothers are a Roman Catholic congregation founded in Ireland in 1802. The original mission was to educate underprivileged Catholic boys. LaSalle College High School in Philadelphia and LaSalle University, run by the Christian Brothers, was considered a place for academic advantage. It was in both institutions he received his formal education. In 1974, Brother Nicholas left LaSalle. He became a faculty member of the Manhattan College in New York in the Riverdale section of the Bronx. With a doctorate from the University of Notre Dame and teaching in one of the highest-ranking schools in the nation, his 6'4" frame seemed even taller. He became influential. With his doctorate as his vehicle, he routinely assigned graduate students to teach his classes while he traveled to learn more about caves. He searched out groups of people in the tri-state area to learn about the caving community and came upon Russell and Jean Gurnee. The Gurnees' hand-built house was 20 minutes from the George Washington Bridge in northern New Jersey, down a dirt lane by a marsh. The family always had an open-door welcome to cavers and cave-related activities. The first time I encountered Brother Nicholas was at our front door. I was 7 years old, quite impressionable. From his shined leather shoes to his translucent socks and pleated black pants, I strained to look up at his skyscraping height. I focused on his pale face and slicked back hair. Far above his black shirt that was seemingly connected to his black jacket was a thin strip of white at his collar. He carried a shiny black satchel, not popular in the day. So with early training to welcome new guests, I led him to the studio. From all accounts, it was my parents who welcomed Brother Nicholas to the rigors of field exploration in the dark unknown. As an academic, he seemed wide-eyed to practical field methods of the day to test depths of sinkholes before rigging by throwing rocks. Only 1 year and 9 days younger than my mother, it was interesting to watch how Brother Nick seemed so new to activities in which we all engaged. Caringly, my father introduced him to scientists who could help him gain field experience and suggested that he join the National Speleological Society. Early in the history of the National Speleological Society, spearheaded by Bill Stevenson and friends to advance the study and conservation of caves, Brother Nicholas became a member. Quickly he understood that there was so much to do if involved with the scientific caving community. He sought available scientists who were doing active work in distant locations and set out to investigate boundless opportunities in unknown territory. Since biological studies underground were a very new field of science with a whole new world of nature still to be categorized, here he saw the prospect to make his mark. Not possessing a driver's license, nor a wallet, nor ever carrying money, as was endorsed by his order, Brother Nicholas Sullivan supported a unique lifestyle. He had an uncanny ability to use public and private transportation in the most unlikely places. Yes, consistently he would arrive on time, no matter where he was asked to go. Our family often sustained Brother Nicholas and his career until his network enlarged. He was invited on 2 of my father's international caving expeditions and was introduced to the International Congress of Speleology in Ljubljana, where Russell Gurnee officiated. Flying in from Chilagó or the Philippines, when he visited, we stayed up late and the gathered cavers would bring 35mm slides with latest discoveries from local chapters of the National Speleological Society. Brother Nicholas did not carry a camera. He relied on the evenings devoted to sharing the best of cavers' photos at the Gurnee's monthly slide salon. This was well attended and such a wonderful event, including the activity of hollering out when anyone saw an image taken by someone else in the group that they desired. My mother kept the accounting and later sent world-class photos to all those involved. Once when I was quite young, I heard Brother Nicholas ask my folks if they would help him fill out a proposal for a teaching program. What followed I remember most vividly. This was when Brother Nicholas asked if he should call himself a speleobiologist or a biospeleologist. My mother suggested biospeleologist, and it stuck. Yes, these were the transformational times when cave-related terminology was actually being invented. On most Tuesdays, Dad would go to the Explorers Club to meet with his cronies on the finance or dinner committees, while dedicating themselves to keeping the Explorers Club financially healthy and resilient. My mother hosted our legendary weekly themed dinner nights at our home. To accommodate the ever-expanding seating using sawhorses topped with heavy sheets of tablecloth-covered plywood, or at bonfires, or when dressing up, school friends, teachers, and assorted cavers would arrive by 6 p.m. to swap stories and enjoy multicultural cuisine. Brother Nicholas began a routine to join us. Slowly, with each visit, Nick tried foods new to his palate. In his raven-black garb and vastly distinctive delivery of statements, as if lecturing from a podium, Brother Nicholas gradually became more relaxed during these weekly get-togethers. Eventually, he abandoned his black bib and backwards collar and listened more intently to stories of recent field work and newly found caves in various regions. In time, he became quite adroit at meeting people, asking questions, and accepting invitations to places worldwide. Later, with many noted cave experts, he partnered to write a number of science-related publications. To the brothers at LaSalle, he was the global traveler who would recount happenings of cave explorers around the world. My father launched a research expedition accompanied by National Geographic with ABC TV team on board. The objective was to prove that the Maya went beyond the sight of light for ceremonial purposes. Led by past President Russell Gurnee, Brother Nicholas Sullivan, and a team of other cave experts who all aided the work underground and above to map a geological anomaly as well as findings underground for the American Museum of Natural History. Imagine having cameras invading the moments while riding donkeys in a land never before visited. Certainly quite difficult to sense the atmosphere with every bit of your observational insights filmed for posterity. Back then, before personal videos were shared daily, it took a rare form of courage not to be swayed by the equipment and theatrics involved. This added pluck to make a filmed television show where there may be no plot or worse, high danger while exploring and being subjected to bright lights and disrupting sounds certainly must have been difficult. By all means possible is the Explorers Club creed. When you say this, consider the stamina and the understatements exchanged while adhering to the rigors of maintaining an attitude of accomplishment, while committed excellence and consistent clarity through team effort was to become possible.
Anybody ready for caves today? I'd rather work in that natural tropical forest area up on top of the bridge, Russ.
Brother Nicholas Sullivan, biologist of LaSalle College in Philadelphia.
Areas I've seen in this since we've been down here, it's a perfect example of a tropical forest. It's easily accessible.
The explorers stopped to study a unique geological phenomenon, a bridge 1,600 feet long formed by nature over a river and covered on top with terraced pools.
The knot that we had to put in the rope because of the depth of the pit is giving Jim some problems.
Now then comes the trick to this deal.
Jim has to unhitch his holding line from above the knot and place it below the knot. In other words, with his 3 points of contact to the rope, he has to take one off at a time and place it below the knot. This is a difficult procedure. It means that he's hanging on the rope at one point with only 2 supports to the rope. As he gets below the knot, he can then continue to slide down in the fashion which he started his descent.
As we opened it up, we could see right away it was an insect-eating bat rather than a vampire. We didn't want it, so let it go. And right here, struggling to get out without any hope of escaping, is a vampire bat. It is not biting the net, it's just trying to disentangle itself from the mesh.
Well, this is a very interesting specimen I've just captured back near the bat roosts. This is a Tarantula palmata. This is a female, and you can see all the young just now beginning to move off the abdomen. This is probably the first time that anyone has ever seen a picture, in a cave at least, of these young being born. Notice they're beginning to move right off the abdomen of the female. She is a wee bit irritated, as you might suspect under the circumstances. We've seen a large number here in the caves of Guatemala, but this is certainly the first female with a brood case I've ever seen, and a rather historic occasion here.
Troglobites, a collective term for specialized animal species or population of species that live totally underground, adjusted to the life in dark caves. Many troglobites have no eyes, but have extremely developed senses of touch, smell, and hearing. Many have antennas that can feel vibrations in the ground or in the air. Troglobites were known since the 17th century. The first troglobites were found in Slovenia after a heavy rainfall that flooded many underground species to the surface. These strange creatures, not seen before, were documented as having a body resembling a serpent and a head the shape of a flat wedge. It was decided they were dragons. This species is now well documented. Biospeleologists have discovered about 7,800 species of troglobites. This high number is due to their isolated evolution. If a species develops in one cave, it cannot migrate to other habitats except through underground water. Not all caves have their own species. Some caves host a variety of species, which makes a biospeleologist enthusiastic that anything he encounters on one single cave trip may bring a host of new scientific findings. National Geographic and the Explorers Club sponsored an expedition to the Rio Comoy cave system in Puerto Rico in 1972. Brother Nicholas served as the biospeleologist and collected some samples from various places in the Rio Comoy cave. In 1968, he was a team member to the Alta Verapaz area of Guatemala. These expeditions were sponsored by the Explorers Club. He did research in Puerto Rico, the Philippines, and in Australia. He also was a member of the New York Academy of Science. Russell Gurnee and Jean Gurnee and Brother Nicholas Sullivan each served as presidents of the National Speleological Society. Russell Gurnee was president of the Explorers Club from 1973 to 1975, and Brother Nicholas was president from 1989 to 1991. Explorers Club member Jean Gurnee was on the board of directors. Jean Gurnee was editor-in-chief of the club. In 1988, she published 4 quarterly Explorers journals for the club. My mother, father, and Brother Nicholas had very different leadership styles. Each was successful in furthering the validity of speleology. Each was recognized with high honors.